Coach, just kind of give me your breakdown on what you saw on Monday night.
Well, I saw a team that was physically ready to play and very well coached, chomping at the bits, play a team that wasn't physically ready to play. So it was obviously not the start that we were hoping for or expected. We all had our concerns going into the game. I was concerned about us up front, being able to hold up against them for a number of reasons, including the fact that they're a really good football team with a veteran offensive line, a big physical offensive line, combined with the fact that, that we did, and it's been talked about, the way we practiced leading up to it. And so I was concerned about it, but I certainly thought we would perform better. And so disappointed. And, like you do after every loss, you got to lick your wounds and you got to look at yourself first and try to figure out what you can do better and how you can help your players. And then the players got to look at themselves and figure out what they can do better and take responsibility and be accountable for themselves as well. So there's a lot of, I guess blame's not a great word, but a lot of that to pass around a little bit. But we didn't perform well as a staff, and we didn't perform well on the field fundamentally. Didn't think we played with the elite eat that we talk about around here. Thought our effort was good, but not great, not what it has been, especially in the last half of last year. I thought our toughness wasn't there, and that's on us a little bit, So some of your biggest growth comes after some of your biggest failures and setbacks, and so that's what we're talking to our guys about. And we're going to be okay. I promise you that. We're going to get this thing ship turned around, get things corrected, and we'll be much better when we play Tulane. I promise you that.
Obviously, Coach Nehemiah fell on his sword and took all the blame on his shoulders. But, I mean, Cameron Kinley said after the game, we've been playing football for 10, 15 years, a lot of us. We know how to play football. So, I mean, I guess how much do you just flush it down and say the whole reason that we played the way we did is because we didn't go live contact and say that we did nothing wrong? Or do you have to be critical of yourselves and say, maybe there's things we didn't do well. I don't know. I mean, you've got to look at assignments. Did guys actually execute the assignments?
Yeah.
I mean, do you still grade, or do you just say, you know what, it has nothing to do with us. It was all because we didn't have live contact, and no player can be graded because of it?
No, you can't do that, and Coach Nehemiah fell on the sword because that's the kind of leader that he is, and none of us second guess the decisions he made. And we don't at all. Like I said, Wags, there's plenty of responsibility to be passed around on the staff, on the players. It was kind of a perfect storm, to be honest with you. You can't put it all on us not going live, but it definitely was a contributing factor to the way that we played, without going live, without tackling live, going against a scout team and not seeing a full speed, live, fast look. When you go play a game, it felt like we looked like we do in typically a first scrimmage in fall camp or in spring ball. The things that you typically correct after that first scrimmage are the things that we're looking at getting corrected now. A lot of little things, fundamentals, details, pad level, angles, leverage, tackling. I mean, you name it. We just didn't do anything well. And certainly was a contributing factor. We can't put it all on that. I mean, BYU came out here and they just physically got after us and outplayed us. So we got to get better. As simple as that.
I haven't had a chance to watch the whole film, but I've seen numerous clips, especially of some of the big plays. But they obviously locked on. You had trouble getting off blocks. Does that go back to not having contact, not having had to do it in practice, or do you think techniques, some things have to be fixed about why you weren't able to get off blocks?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think you saw a little bit of both, and I think I was worried about us being a hold up front. I didn't think it would be as bad as it was. I think early on they were having success running the football. We were getting hung on blocks a little bit. We were getting reached. We were getting cut off, and so the fits weren't clean. And when that starts to happen, things start to snowball a little bit. Then you got guys trying to do more than they need to, other than just their job. And so that's one thing that we've done a really, really good job around here is defending the run, because our gap integrity and all 11 guys know where they fit and how they fit, and that kind of went sideways late in that first quarter, and we didn't fit things right. We lost our gap integrity, and then it just snowballed from there. It's the best way I can describe it.
And obviously, I know you like to try to be disruptive and get guys in the backfield. That didn't happen a lot. Is that just because that offensive line was so good and they picked up everything you tried to do, any blitzes you tried to throw? I mean, what would you – or did you maybe back off when you realized you're having problems, with some of the you can't be overly aggressive and put yourself further in a hole? I mean, I'm just curious as to
No, that's a good question. I mean, they had a lot to do with us not getting negative plays, and that's part of our philosophy. We want to try to create those in the early downs, and so we can put people in third and longer, second and longer type situations and make them a little bit more predictable. But when you go and you look at the third downs in that game, I think there were 11 of them. I think there were only 2 third and longs. Everything else was 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and when that's the case, that's not good. We weren't good in the early downs. There's a direct correlation to how good you are on 1st and 10 and to how good you are on 3rd down. And we were atrocious in the early downs and never got them behind the sticks. I think we had two negative plays, 2 or 3 maybe, and we got to do better in early downs. But they had a lot to do with that.
So some of the new guys making their first starts, I mean, I saw Flowers getting manhandled by the MP, but MP's going to do that to a lot of people. The guy's an NFL player.
Yeah.
Lawley, I mean, can you evaluate any of the guys who are making the ATL over at Stryker? Any of the guys making their first career starts, or can we evaluate it or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough on those guys, man. It's one thing to make your first start, and then to do it for the first time against a really good football team, first time going live, and the things that we've already talked about. I thought all 3 of those guys did some good things. I think they also played like it was their first start. I think Lawley's gonna be fine. I'm excited about him. I think Flowers played with a banged up ankle and knee during the game, tried to tough it out, and that affected him. And he knows he's got to do better with his pad level and some of those type things. And my feelings about those guys haven't changed. We're disappointed. We all disappointed in the way we played and the way we coached. But I still love this football team. I still think that there's a lot of good football in front of us. I haven't lost faith in what we're doing or our players at all.
One more before I let Phil jump in and ask any questions he might have. I'd ask Coach Niamad, now that he's decided to go to live contact during practice, does that mean that evaluations sort of start anew and that you never know who might look better in that type of environment, live contact environment? Is everybody's position being evaluated anew? Yeah,
absolutely. And I talked to the defensive unit about going out and competing for their jobs, like their jobs are on the line. And, we haven't had an opportunity to really look at some of these freshmen because of the COVID and the summer and the way that went. We played summer. And so we're going to take a look at some young guys that I think and that we had targeted early on as guys that might be able to help us early, but just haven't had that opportunity yet. And so this is a good time with a few days extra in the off week to throw those guys in there and see what they can do, and knowing they're going to make some mistakes, but just seeing if they can function and seeing if they'll fly around and those kind of things. So we're going to evaluate everybody in the program on this side of the football, talking about some possible position changes and switches and things like that. And so the next few days is going to be intense. We're going to coach them hard, see how they respond, and we're going to go get better.
Phil Bergman.
Hey, Coach. Coach Niamad yesterday was just talking about how you guys are going to live tackling and practices. When you let the team know this, what was the reaction from your defensive guys hearing this news?
Well, I think they're happy about it. I think they know that we need it. And, I don't think that, the last half of last year, we didn't do anything live. We'd done that. We felt good about where we were at. We could go against the scout team and blow a quick whistle and fit things correctly and tag off and that kind of stuff. And we're not to that point where we can do that yet. And so we need to bang, and we need to go good on good, and we need to see that speed. And we need to learn how to play with better pad level and those kind of things. Some of those things you don't get emphasized enough when you go against the scouts. And the scouts do a good job here. It's not the same. It's not the same look that you're going to see on Saturdays. And so, but we need all that work we can get. And unfortunately, we're into the season now, so you got to be careful. There's a balance of how much you actually do it because you don't want to get guys hurt. But at the same time, we got to go get better.
And Diego seemed to have a pretty good game. 2 TFLs, 13 tackles overall. Just what do you see from him out there, and did anybody else impress you on the field?
Yeah. Well, he made some plays that a lot of people can't make, so he did some really good things. And I think he was one of those guys when I say, he feels like sometimes he's got to make every play, especially when things start going bad. And that certainly happened Monday night. And so, he didn't fit things correctly a few times, trying to do too much. And that was because of the nature of how the game was going. And I've been there and done that as a player myself. I understand that, but we got to learn to play together and to trust each other and fit where we're supposed to fit and those kind of things. But yeah, he did some positive things. I think he'd be the first to tell you that he didn't play a great game, and there's a lot of things he could do better, just like everybody else. And but we'll get there, Phil.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wags, any follow-ups?
Well, I mean, I guess as you look ahead to Tulane, it's a little bit different style of team, but you've played against them before. I mean, I guess you spend this week working on yourself and then deal with Tulane next week.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. We're certainly going to look at get an introduction to Tulane today during practice, but we're going to go against our offense some as well, and we're going to get after the scouts to give us a better look today so we can bang as we're going against a Tulane look. But yeah, I think you got to do a little bit of both. It's time to evaluate for us, even our starters and our veteran players, as well as some of the younger guys. So we're going to go out and we're going to get after and have some intense practice for the next 3 days.
I have to take a closer look at the participation chart, but I did see lots of guys running on and off the field. So I'm going to guess that your goal of trying to go too deep, did you use a lot of players, Coach?
We did. And then, once the game kind of got out of hand, we got some of our starters out and got some of the young guys in. Didn't make any sense leaving some of those guys in and risk them getting hurt at that point in time. But yeah, a lot of guys played. I don't remember the exact number, but we were at least 2 deep everywhere. Got reps in the game.
Well, let's start with Dalen. I mean, can you really do a proper evaluation, or do you kind of just call that one a do-over?
It was definitely not a good night for for our football team, and obviously offensively, it wasn't a good night for us. Again, every position, it's not like anyone lit it up out there. Quarterback-wise, Dalen, first couple of series struggled. Then he got kind of settled in. Then just did what we could. Then obviously at halftime we made a change. So there's definitely some things that I like to have seen different just from him as a quarterback. But again, then the entire team definitely struggled. So we'll just continue to move on and go to the next one and try to get a W.
Dalen seemed to have some problems with his footing especially when he was trying to set up to pass. He slipped a couple times trying to plant. Was that just footwork, or was there a cleats issue, or what? Did you talk to him about that?
A couple guys, him and Perry both slipped. And really, I can't tell you what that was. If it was the shoes, weak legs, nervous legs, it could be any one of those things. So obviously, we want to see our guys be sure-footed and keep their feet. But definitely, it didn't help the situation. Just added on to everything else that was going on for us that night. But again, we just gotta stay positive. Again, we've been here before. I've been here before. Where we open up and don't play well. We just gotta put it behind us and move on.
I was talking to Coach Newberry, and obviously now with Kenny saying that you're going to go live contact, that does change things, and you may see players in a different light in a live contact situation. Would it be fair to say that evaluations begin anew now that you're seeing them in live contact, and you may see that guys perform better or worse in that environment?
Well, it can be either or. The biggest thing, going in any game, you just want to see a quarterback, as far as decision making and being able to, get us in the right play or see certain things out there. Sometimes, now playing full speed definitely has its advantages, but at the same time, as a quarterback, you have to be able to see things. Be able to see things and be able to make checks, or if they do something on defense that, that we didn't do in practice, you got to be able to recognize it. Then when you see it again, be able to execute. So definitely going full speed in practice definitely help us as a football team get more of the speed of the game. But again, as a quarterback, there's some things that I expect you to see whether we are going full speed or not.
I think somebody mentioned this to Coach Niemeyer, but I'll ask you as well. The one guy who did seem to show up and run hard was Miles Fells, and stats-wise, he's the one guy that had a pretty decent game. I'm looking at it right now, 55 yards on 3 carries. So he had a couple nice pickups. I mean, and he had a 33-yard run, I believe. Could you say, hey, that tells me something about Miles, even on a day that, offense overall didn't look great. We didn't block all that well, but yet this young man bust up some runs.
He's a senior. He's one of our leaders. One of the guys that we're going to look to, to be there for the team, to be a voice of the team. Definitely did some good things. At the same time, he made some mistakes too. So again, it was a complete effort, man, by everybody. Not doing great things. And Coach Niemeyer said, even us as coaches, we got to do a better job getting our guys ready. So again, it was definitely a bad night for us. But again, we've had those happen before. Where we didn't play well, and again with the circumstances right now, it just kind of makes it look even worse. But we're gonna regroup. We're not saying, the sky is falling. We just have to regroup and get ready to go.
You figure it's just not your night when you get the interception, the quick change situation. They're deep in their territory, and you call a play with Chance, that option play, and it's work. We know it's worked before. He's executed, and obviously they we're all over him. He didn't even have a chance to set up to try to throw, and it's like, my goodness, here we get a chance. We're right, chance to score, golden opportunity to score, and then a negative play of minus 15 yards.
Yeah, it's the old saying, and Mama said, every day is like this. That's what it was Monday night. It was a rough night. And yes, that was a tough play. But the good thing about that play is, Chance, he made a great decision. They did cover, and he didn't force a throw and turn the football over. He pulled it down and tried to get rid of the football, but obviously they came from the backside and stripped the ball from him. But so that's a positive. He went to throw the football, they covered it. He made a good decision. And that's what we coach. He pulled it down and try to make something else happen. But again, it's something that's positive. To see. From a guy who's played a lot, who made a great decision. Again, you just go from there, and maybe next time we call it, it'll be there for us. But we're going to move on, man. We're going to move on. We're going to reload. Again, get our guys right. We're going to do some hitting and get ready for Tulane.
What the fullbacks obviously did not have much room on the dive. How much was that nose guard? I think I saw a couple plays where he just was, even against a double team, was shoved. He was basically carrying 2 guys into the backfield. How much did that nose guard disrupt things?
I mean, he's a good player. He's a good player. And again, I don't take nothing away from him at all. He was a good player, and he did disrupt us in some ways. But at the same time, too, again, we just didn't play well. There's some things that we just disrupted ourselves a lot, by missing assignments and not going to the right people. So again, he's a good player. He's a great player. He held his own in there. I mean, he made us work for everything we got. But at the same time, we didn't help ourselves out either. So again, give all the credit to them guys. They came out. They had their plan. They executed it. They played well.
It's a rarity to have a bye week between week 1 and week 2 for the team. How nice is it just to have this one game, have 2 weeks to practice before playing game 2, and to keep on growing as a team?
Well, it's important, especially when you play a team like that, a big physical football team. In case it would have been the same too, they opened up in Notre Dame. It would have been the same. Just playing a big physical football team that first game is, you would be happy to have a bye week after that. So it just allows us to heal up, to reevaluate some things, look at what we're doing, look at ourselves first and foremost. Every time we lose a football game, we don't point the fingers. I don't point the fingers at anybody. I look at myself first and foremost. Look at how I have done better to coach my guys and help them get better. But so again, it's just it's a gut check for our program. And we got to find a way to win the next one. Especially when you lose that way. Any loss, the only thing that's gonna make it feel better is getting the W. So we're not gonna worry about it. We're gonna put it all behind us and move on and get ready for the green wave.
For Dalen, obviously it wasn't the type of start he wanted, but what did you see from him once he was out of the game just as a leader? And it seemed like he was still mentoring the players on the field even once he was out of the game. Just what you just see of him in that second half?
Well, the key to it, is for the next guy to always, be next to me and watch the game and see what's going on and comment. Perry was there the entire time. Dalen was in, and we we would go over things. Something happened, he would say, "Yeah, this should have happened or that should have happened." So it's always key, important for those guys to stay involved and stay engaged. To be a voice on the sideline. In a very tough time. Again, we had to find our own energy, create our own energy in the game. Chance was a guy that was definitely, very vocal, kept pushing. And the thing that we did say as a coach that we were very pleased with, our guys didn't quit. They kept fighting, they kept fighting, they kept fighting. Every series we got back up, ran out to the field. And, so that was a good thing. I'm excited about that, feel good about that. And you build on it. Our guys are not hanging their heads down this week. They came out with fire, and eager to get back at work. Today we're going to be out there. It's going to be a good live get after practice. And we're excited about the next opportunity to go out there and get things right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wags, any follow-ups? You're muted, Wags.
Hey, so just to be clear, I mean, you're not opening the quarterback competition up anew. I mean, you're basically going to say that this game is not indicative of, it's hard to judge and we will have to give Dale another shot, or do you take the next 2 weeks and reevaluate?
Yeah, we're going to take the next 2 weeks and kind of look at some things, reevaluate it, because again, there were things that, again, as a quarterback, regardless of how you practice, that you should be prepared for. It doesn't matter if you're going full speed or not, you should be prepared for, so we got to look at some things, reevaluate it, and get ready for the next one.
I know CJ didn't play, and I'm not asking you about the nature of why, but do you think he will be back by Tulane, or is it still iffy?
And we're hoping he's out now, working with Coach Miller, doing some running around, seeing where his conditioning level is. Obviously, it's not where we're going to want it to be, but we got some time to get him ready. Today, tomorrow, Saturday, we're going to practice and he's going to get out there and run. And hopefully by next Tuesday or Wednesday, he's able to practice with us. So obviously he's a kind of player that, is a senior that's played a lot of football. The key thing is just being in game shape, being able to go out. If we do put him in there, won't be able to go in there and execute and be able to protect himself if anything.